Hey, everybody. So there's a shift happening in sports, in global markets right now that I believe most people still don't fully understand. So for decades, family offices have allocated capital across traditional buckets: private equity, real estate, venture, public markets, fixed income, yada, yada. It's all boring. And so while most capital has been chasing yield and multiples, one of the strongest performing asset classes in the world has quietly emerged right in front of us, and that is sports. Not sports as entertainment, but sports as infrastructure, sports as intellectual property, as media, as real estate, as recurring global attention, and most importantly, sports as an asset class. The smartest investors in the world understand one thing: scarcity drives value. There will always be another family, another office building, another startup, another fund, but there are only so many globally relevant sports franchises, only so many league licenses, only so many premium assets with multi-generational loyalty built into them. And that loyalty has real economic power. When you buy a modern sports asset, you're not just buying a team, you're buying media rights, sponsorships, ticketing, merchandising, first-party fan data, food and beverage, parking, and increasingly sports-anchored real estate, along with mixed-use development surrounding the venue. The modern sports owner is no longer just an owner. They're operating a media company, a data company, a hospitality company, and a real estate platform all in once. And over the last 20 years, sports assets have outperformed almost every single other asset class in the markets. So before I introduce the panelists or have them introduce themselves, I want to ask everybody a question. Who has been to or has a sports team or goes to sports events or loves sports? Anyone want to raise their hand on that? Right, we're obviously here around Miami this week for Formula One. Anybody want to go to a FIFA World Cup match this summer? Right, any soccer or football fans for anybody, right? Anyone like traveling? Anyone like to travel? Nobody, okay, good. Anybody like real estate? Any real estate people in the room, right? So what sports does is essentially combines all of that into one platform, plus drives traffic and attention all at once. And so with that, we're going to introduce our panelists, starting here with Mike. If you want to introduce yourself, and what do you do?
Yes, my name is Mike McGlynn. I'm the CEO of 7799 Sports Representation, and also an investor in multiple software companies, and currently also developing AI software for the sports industry.
And what was your sports background?
I played 8 years in the NFL across probably about 40% of the teams in the NFL.
There you go.
So I was an underdog. So top 1% of the 1% in the NFL, make it 8 years.
Awesome. Jared?
Jared Lloyd. I am one of the co-founders of Lloyd & Co. I run a single-family office turned into an alternative investment firm. And I played professional sports in Europe for several years. And glad to be here.
Awesome. Parker?
Hey everybody, Parker Graham, play for the Baltimore Ravens. I thought you were going to say tennis, I really did. But I'm a founder, a tech founder now, built a investment platform that's actually taking middle market European soccer clubs and turning them into investable securities here in the States. So think like doing mini IPOs into all these clubs across the world.
Chris?
I'm Chris Fidel, from England originally, former college golfer, played pro for a couple of years. CEO of ASM Sports. We manage over 2,500 athletes across 20 different sports. We do sponsorship, marketing, real estate, pretty much any way we can help an athlete make money, we do it. And my business partner is Ernie Els. If you know golf, you'll know who he is. So yeah, we love what we do, and we're honored to be here.
Awesome. And my name is Kyle Alfred. I'm a former NFL player. I've been in private equity with sports, venture capital, with a Fortune 30 company, and now I run my own sports management consulting firm working for family offices and private equity funds. So my first question, I'll start with you, Mike, is you do a lot with athletes in NIL space. If I'm an investor, what is the return I'm going to get by investing into athletes and in the NFL world? What does that look like? How do those economics work?
When it comes to financial services, number one, could be big upside, especially with NIL, young athletes coming into fortune at such a young age now. One of the top tackles in the country is slated to make high school senior $3 million, actually from the University of Miami. So as we're seeing that, there's that. But when it comes to sports in general, there's a big lapse in software. So with AI and everything coming out now, and the recruiting with NIL being such an issue because all this money is getting dumped into rosters, and the exposure is becoming less and less just due to the budgeting. So software could bridge that gap, and that's what I'm currently working on.
Awesome. Lloyd, you're in the investment world, and you're doing, Jared, and you're doing, you have ownership in 3 sports teams. Why sports teams? Why is your group investing into sports franchises? What do you guys see from a value proposition standpoint?
Well, one, we saw women early. My sister's a professional athlete currently, 3-time Olympian, 3-time world champion. And so I understood early on that women's sports was the future. And so we were able to develop those relationships very early and see that drift in valuation, first and foremost, by building relationships with previous owners. So that's one. Two, also looking not only at the NFL and the major leagues, but also looking at the value propositions. For instance, I would say the smaller sports like pickleball, and then also new leagues that are forming in regarding international play. So Project B is another example. So it's also looking at like where valuations can go, and obviously looking at upside. So that's where we were able to find some opportunities and really not invest at a mature level, but actually invest at I would say a VC level.
Awesome. And Parker, you've created something pretty powerful. What is the response been? If you want to give people a little insight into what you do, and then what has the response been with Vestival and the platform and the opportunity there?
Yeah, very similar to what you mentioned. The mature sports here in the States we think about, right? MLS, NFL, MLB, NBA, they're super difficult to get in, and the valuations are extremely high. All of the value right now to be created is in the middle market. So think middle market being, European football, soccer for those here in the States, and then the emerging leagues right now. A lot of capital is flowing into all of those spaces because it's the one thing in real life that all of these communities have to go to, right? Some of these countries and some of these communities completely wrap around their entire life around these sports, and they've had no infrastructure to date, really. We're used to seeing all of the glitz and glam of an NFL game. That stuff doesn't really exist at scale in the lower markets in Europe. And so what we really built is this way for groups like family offices, high net worth individuals, registered investment advisors to go access deal flow in those places that have already been vetted, already been qualified, and already are ready to go through a hypervaluation event where you're buying low and you're selling high, just like with a lot of the other things that people invest in.
Awesome, thanks. And then Chris, you have over 2,500 athletes in your fund. Why are athletes coming to you for your fund versus just going into investments directly? Where is the disconnect between their knowledge of the investment world and what you guys provide at ASM? By the way, obviously, as a sports panel, we don't know how to sit underneath their names, so pardon them for not.
No, to our credit, that
they're
was
not who they think they are.
No,
it's
Kyle,
an identity crisis.
That wasn't. Let's not talk about an identity crisis here. Listen, don't be throwing trigger words at me.
Here we go.
When we stepped up here, that wasn't up there.
Hey,
we were late.
Parker,
calm
sorry. Down.
Sorry, Kyle.
Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great question. So, athletes, they have a trust issue, all right? A lot of people take advantage of athletes, and, if you come traditionally in a suit and tie, they're going to think you're going to rob them and take their cash away. So relationships are super key. We build our relationships with these athletes as young as 14, 15 years old. So we know their parents, we know their cousins. I mean, we're there to support them. So we built that trust over many years. And when we bring an opportunity, we vet it. I mean, we spend months and months doing our DD, checking that this is a great opportunity for them, other than just saying, like, you should invest in this, right? They don't want to, if we mess that up just one time, we blow our whole portfolio. That word will get around so quickly. So I think we have one of the hardest jobs because we have to be so certain this deal makes sense. Otherwise, that could just destroy our whole business. And I think that's why we have so many athletes coming to us and trusting us in what we're doing in our investment opportunities for these athletes.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm going to ask you guys all the same questions, starting with Chris coming back. So here's the question. Where do you believe the biggest disconnect still exists between how traditional investors value sports assets versus what these sports assets are actually becoming?
Yeah, I think most investors don't understand the power of an athlete. the pull they have, right? The marketing ability, what they can actually bring to the table. A lot of investors look at black and white numbers, right? And they don't understand the connection between a fan base and an athlete. If we brought in, say, Tom Brady in here today, I'm sure all of you guys would want to go get a photo of him, right? If you love football. So whatever sport you like, if I can bring you that powerful athlete, that star attraction, you're going to want to meet him. You're going to want to get that photo. You can't quantify that in a black and white number, right? But what you can do is show people the value of how that athlete can make and gravitate someone to be around them. That's attraction. Then it's what you make of that opportunity to monetize that.
Awesome. Same question.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's not quite understood is scarcity. When we think about how many professional teams are in the world, everybody does real estate in here, right? Imagine if there were only 1,000 real estate opportunities that you could possibly invest in. That's the power of investing in a sports team. It's been a trophy asset for very wealthy individuals for a long time, but it is completely changing from that over to this commercialization and professionalization of that asset class to create massive, massive returns. We've seen it in the NFL, we're continuing to see it in the NFL, and now that we have these emerging leagues and these emerging sports coming out, we're going to see that over the next 10 years be the big gold rush in this space, in my opinion.
Yeah, similar to the value proposition of Bitcoin, right?
Yeah,
There's only
exactly.
so many, you can't make more. There's only so many sports teams, so many sports leagues, so many cities, and once they're all owned and funded, then that's it. Then the asset only continues to grow.
Yep.
Jared, same. Do you want me to repeat the question, or you got it?
No, I got it.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the biggest disconnect is actually understanding athletes want ownership opportunities now. So they're looking at ownership, not necessarily being the product. And so what we're structuring is also, like you mentioned, is that relationship, but also understanding athletes want ownership and they want to be owners. And being able to dedicate an ownership opportunity to these athletes is going to be very, very important. And so structuring that properly is also important, meaning they're not just the product anymore, right? They want ownership, they want opportunities, and building that trust is super, super important.
Kyle,
By the way, we corrected
did you?
your seating issue.
I almost forgot my name for a second.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor?
Yep.
Yeah,
Where do you
repeat the
believe-
question.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Where do you good?
Listen, yeah, I'm good, thanks.
A lot of hits.
A lot of hits, CTE,
football,
right?
A lot of head trauma.
I think the biggest thing to disconnect is, most of us come from underserved and tough communities, right? So when it comes to the athlete, we're looked at as entertainers. We're looked at as gladiators. We're not looked at as business people. But as you mentioned earlier, I thought you played tennis. You made the comment. I hear it. What are you, security? You're a bodyguard? Oh, if I get in a fight, I'm all that joke. It just gives us the opportunity to go up and break the ice, market ourselves. And we're trained. We're trained media-wise, with somebody that's lived in the spotlight since I got drafted in the NFL when I was 22 years old. We lived in the spotlight for our professional careers. And one of my biggest frustrations is we're not in these rooms. We're not in these rooms. Yeah. It's a joke, right? We're here to entertain. We're here to play, to do this, right? We're modern day gladiators, but we don't get access to these rooms. When I was in the NFL, never. And think about this: these billionaires that are making money, right, and building their wealth, right? We're the workers. We're the blue collar. And I think that's the biggest disconnect. And partnering with athletes, a couple things. It gives you the opportunity to have some pretty sharp people. Not all of us are sharp, right? There's some really dumb people too. Just be honest with you. Yeah. But look at us as business people and not just entertainers in the arena.
Yeah, to your point, this is what, the 31st anniversary, first sports panel? Come on, what are we doing here, right? So to Mike's point, right, athletes and the business of sport did not used to be in rooms like this. And now because sports as an asset class has become so powerful, we are now in rooms like this. So going back, Mike and working over, if you were to deploy fresh capital today into the sports ecosystem, Where do you believe the greatest long-term opportunity exists, whether it's team ownership, media rights, sports-anchored real estate, data, or the infrastructure surrounding the fan experience?
Well, I'm in the middle of it right now. Actually, I was at a family wealth event about 3 months ago, talking about my NIL sports representation company, because there's such it goes breaking the cycle, right? There's such an exploitation of athletes to be preyed on financially, because we're coming from a young age. We're not taught on financial literacy. We don't know. So I'm in there, and people want to invest in they love me and everything else, but my multiple is 2 or 3 in the service industry, right? So how do we build software? So for me, what I'm focused on right now is there's a big gap with software and the recruiting of athletes, not only domestically, but internationally. We talk about tennis, we talk about golf, all these overseas, internationally. Everybody wants to come over to the States to go to college. But at the end of the day, how do they get evaluated, right? How do they get exposure? In golf, you got to come over here and play in the junior tours, right? You know, most people can't do that unless you have sponsors, and you come from wealthy families. But how can we bridge that gap? And you know, currently right now, I'm working on that solution.
We need to talk.
Jared?
Yeah, similar. We're working on a solution as well. So when I talked about earlier that athletes want ownership opportunities, it's no longer the athlete is, you know, the product, right? They want the ownership opportunities. So we're surrounding them similar to like a private equity firm would, in terms of actually not asking them for an investment, but we're going to be investing in them, in their products, in their expertise. So similar to how a private equity firm would work, we take a handful of athletes, deploy capital into their projects that they want to, you know, structure, and then bring a team around them, and then we'll monetize that and scale it according to their gifts and purpose. So that's a current opportunity we're working on.
Awesome. Parker?
Yeah, I think for me, when everybody raised their hands of, you know, hey, I do love a sport, I love a sports team, you're going to have opportunities to invest in that sport directly. I don't care if it's pickleball, paddle, American football, European football. Over the next 5 years, you're going to have the ability to invest in either it's a team, a league, a club, whatever you want to call it, the infrastructure, the youth academy, whatever. And this is an industry that has gone linear, which very few industries do, right? It's gone up and to the right. And so what I would say is find something that you already love. If you love football, if you love basketball, find an opportunity to invest in that, whether it's in, you know, NBA Africa's expansion or NBA Europe's expansion or any of these startup leagues. Because when I tell you, with our first club that we took to market, when I sit there and I watch them play on the pitch, it is no greater feeling to watch your team that you own score a goal. Like, there's just nothing better than that. And I played on the field in the NFL, and being in the ownership suite while you're watching your favorite sport on, you know, a live stage, that's the thing that I would be investing in for the long term.
Chris?
I mean, there's many ways you can invest in sport, right? With NIL, buying sports teams. I'd say the one way we found where we're seeing super growth and traction is in real estate. Real estate opportunity, especially here in South Florida. Over the last 3 months, we've acquired $240 million of real estate in luxury condos. We are doing that through athletes and investors. We're able to position elite, world top-tier athletes. We use them as branding exercises. We get incredible deals with the developers, and then we use capital from investment, family offices, private equity, individual investors to fund these deals. And essentially, you get to broker your deal with a celebrity athlete at a top world-class luxury condo, and then we make money all together. That's been the best way we've done it.
Yeah, and athletes can become a great draw to certain
100%.
properties, right? So anybody want to build a condo or a house or a real estate asset with Michael Jordan? Or Messi, or Tom Brady,
Or Mike
right?
McGlynn. Mike McGlynn.
Mike McGlynn, right? Jared Lloyd, anybody, right? So the attraction just of having those names associated with your asset immediately increases the value by 10x overnight, with it still being the same building it was yesterday, right? So that's a really big, powerful thing. We're doing this right now, Chris, right?
We do, yeah.
And to the point of all these guys, middle markets is the focus of my group. Middle market teams, a Serie A team, a Premier League team, a USL team, which are all growth stage leagues. They're not the peak, but those have the most upside. A lot of people come to me, I'm sure you guys get this too, they're like, I want to own an NFL team, right? Or I want to own a pro sports team. To me, I'm like, that's a terrible investment, right? They're already at the highest valuation they've ever been. You're buying the top. you have to hold for 10 to 12 years. You're not direct owner. You have to go through another group to do it, so you're not direct ownership to the team, and there's no cash value of that asset. You can't pull out in 3-5 years and say, I want my money back. You have to hold for 10, 12, 15 years versus some of these other opportunities in the middle markets. A Serie A team who's middle of the pack, who's building a new stadium where you can own the infrastructure, the stadium, the mixed-use space around it, and have ownership in the team, plus the rights, plus the youth, plus everything, and you capture the entire market for the same investment value as you would have just placing capital in an NFL team and then just sitting back for 12 years and hoping it does well. Right, so that's a little bit a different nuance where, as a former athlete myself and being in the sports space, the opportunity to invest at that level is just unbelievable.
Kyle, you mind if I build on that?
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, and we talk about that with the growth. I could just speak about football with the growth internationally with the NFL, what they're doing right now. There's opportunity, like you said, in Europe, in Germany, right? And I'm actually working on a project in Jamaica right now, right, there's 10 American football high school teams in Jamaica, right? And they're building it, but infrastructure is an issue. So we talk about real estate and that, working on a project there. So middle market, it perfectly aligns, brother.
So my last question here, and then we'll free ball it after that. So we're seeing teams evolve into media, hospitality, and technology platforms all at once. What do you believe the modern sports organization looks like in 10 years from now compared to what it looks like today? Chris?
I think it depends on the sport. Like, Formula One's a completely different animal to, say, soccer, NFL, baseball 10 years ago was already doing analytics, right? With the Moneyball, you might see that movie. That's now calling in the world of soccer. Sports people, especially coaches, are stuck in their ways. They don't adapt as fast as maybe a business would. Again, especially in soccer, but then in F1, they're very analytical. So I think data, AI will definitely come into play just because everyone's going to try to explore it and see how they can capitalize that. But I think it's such a broad question. It just depends really on the sport. And whatever sport you're focusing on, you've got to find out what their goals are, what they're trying to do, and then whatever that is will be what people invest in.
Awesome. Parker?
Yeah, I think for so long and really up until probably like the last 5 to 10 years, sports teams, clubs, they've been just a sports team. I think going forward, these are actually really massive, massive content brands and data brands. The ability to farm data, think about when you go into an NFL, so we have the Miami Dolphins here. When you're in there, there's 80,000 people there with 80,000 80,000 different data sets, right? Millions and millions and millions of data points to pull in. And I think you're seeing the valuations really start to reflect that. These are massive opportunities that are in the mature markets, but again, in those middle markets and those emerging leagues, it's just getting started. So the data layer piece of it, I think, is still just so underserved. And these are, now with AI coming as well, these might just all be AI companies, just like everything else, right? But I think you're going to see a massive change in how you're consuming the content and how you're actually kind of monetized as a person walking into the stadium for every game.
Awesome. Did anyone drop their Rolex in the lobby? Just making sure you're paying attention. Jared, go ahead.
I'm going to take on youth. I'm going to talk about youth sports, actually.
Go for it. I love that.
I got a 10 and 12-year-old, so I think youth sports is going to be evolving into actually college sports. So you're going to have more opportunities for youth sports to build content. So there'll be content studios everywhere. They'll be using more data. There'll be more NIL money being poured in. I think there'll be more agents coming in addition to youth sports. And youth sports is it's one of the, and more private equity, actually. So I think there'll be a lot of roll-ups going in to youth sports. So I see it becoming more like a college campus, essentially, and developing content studios, real institutional capital coming into youth sports.
Parker, did you say the Miami Dolphins had 80,000 fans in their stadium?
Full disclosure,
That's never happened.
I don't know how long it's been since that's happened.
Never happened.
But yes,
Never
capacity-wise,
happened.
right?
Happened.
We're in the neighborhood.
Capacity. Yeah, maybe for the national championship, right? So yeah, I think the analytics is big. We see there's just an acquisition of PFF and at a nine-figure acquisition, and when it comes to the analytics, as we move and continue to move forward with AI and that, I think that's going to be a main focus point of the athlete when it comes to the measurables, when it comes to all that, and structuring it and making sure that you're targeting these institutions or the NFL to sharpen, whether it's their evaluation curve and their efficiencies. Right now, the efficiencies when it comes to evaluation, and even in baseball, across all sports, having these scouts, these boots on the ground where they got to go, and then they come back and write the kids on the dashboard or on the whiteboard. It's so old school. So I think when it comes to the analytics and the efficiencies, I think that's what the big disruptors are going to be in the marketplace for sports.
Awesome. So there's a lot of money in the room. There's a lot of investors, a lot of family offices. And since this panel started, they've all rethought their investment thesis, and they all want to get into sports.
And real estate.
They're on the edge of their seat right now.
Real estate too.
Because of this free Rolex.
Yep. Hey. And they
so-
don't travel.
So
they ain't travel.
so let's have a sell me this pen moment. Starting with you, Mike. I'm an investor in the audience. Where should I be investing into sports right now if I have a check ready to go? Where should I be placing that capital to see a nice, let's call it a 10-year return on investment, because that's kind of the real estate standard. So where should I be putting that money?
You guys notice I've been talking about software the whole time, right? So that's what I recommend. Now, real estate, you guys are all real estate. I encourage what Kyle talked about with the middle market, growing. We talk about growing sports through youth sports. I think you're going to see more and more of that. You actually got the NFL, okay, rolling out flag football.
Yep, globally. Olympic sport.
Now, for women, flag football, right? I'm in partnership with a buddy of mine that we played high school together, and he's actually partnering with the NFL and the Pro Football Hall of Fame to roll out women's flag football at the high school level.
Yeah.
That's what I would recommend.
Youth sports, and there's a psychology component to that. Whoever has children, I'm assuming in here, right? There's a psychology component to parents and their children in around sports, and that is never going to go away. And so I won't tell you what the psychology is, but that youth sports is a proven business model. So youth sports.
I do have children, and man, the youth sports is so expensive now. It is, my gosh, like you're paying $4,000 for 8-year-olds to play soccer. It's insane. So it is a good business model. For me, I work in the middle market in Europe. That's where I'm at. That's what I know. That's what I'm obsessed with. We have 22 clubs right now of all ranges, shapes, sizes, locations. I don't know if you guys love traveling. I think you actually mentioned that. But we're definitely in the business of finding not only just any club that wants to have an investment or wants to be majority owned, but also the ones that make sense, the ones that don't have a 10-year duration but have a 3 to 5 year duration, where you can get in, make 3 to 5x your money in a very short time frame versus the private equity funds you can invest in, and really, again, feel what ownership feels like. When you guys walk into one of your real estate properties, it feels a lot different than going and visiting a Marriott, right, or going and visiting another multi-use facility. These assets not only have that attraction base, but they also have that ability to have hyper growth and make a lot of money. And it's just at the beginning. We're like literally in the first inning for a baseball reference.
And to your point, when I asked if anyone liked to travel, no one raised their hands.
No one likes to travel. It's interesting. I have heard a lot of accents today, so I feel like we've got some people who aren't being
sunny
truthful.
Isles, so they all just walked here.
Yeah.
No one traveled.
That party was long last night, I guess,
think
huh?
Party was long.
That Bentley party?
Has really
Jeez.
got to some folks.
Never experienced anything like that where I come from. Jesus.
Chris?
I'd put it all in Man United. No, I'm just kidding. I need my team to do well. No, real estate for sure. For us, that's where we've seen the biggest growth. I mean, our returns are now projected at 77% in 18 months' time. So we found a real niche. If you're looking to invest in South Florida with elite athletes, love to talk to you guys. It's a safe return for us because the athlete is bringing the hype, bringing the media, bringing the buyers, and the deals we've done with these developers, it's like, our money's protected.
Yep.
We can't lose. So for us, real estate's the way to go.
Awesome. So last few minutes here, and if anyone has questions for the audience, we'd love to take some questions here. But last question, how can people get in? I'll start with Chris coming down. How can get people get in contact with what you're doing and reiterate what you're doing and how people in the audience can get involved? Chris?
Yeah, you can go on our website, asmsports.co, or just want to get in touch with me directly. I'll be here for the next kind of 20 minutes. Come connect, or go on my Instagram. It's Chris Fidel Sports. Send me a message. We'd love to connect with you guys.
Yeah, Parker.
Usually I say I'm the tallest guy in the room, but I don't know if I am today. There were two guys yesterday. Mark and I are fighting for it. There's some other folks as well. But you can't miss me. I'll be here the rest of the day. I'll be here tomorrow as well. And you can find the company that I founded is called Vestable. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on our website, in the App Store, all the fun stuff.
Awesome. Jared?
You can find me. I'll be here for a couple more hours. Website is theloydco.com. You can email me as well, but I'll be around.
Awesome. Mike?
Just go old school and come introduce yourself.
There you go. I like it. And I do want to say, before we ask any questions, one thing, I do want to give a shout out to Anthony on this. So I spoke at the last event, 7 weeks ago. At that event, I met Mark, I met Chris, I met Greg. I'm working on a big project in the Caribbean right now in Roatan. We're building a 20,000-seat national stadium. We're now building a golf course with Ernie Els and Chris's group. We're doing a hospital with Mark and his group. We're building a Ritz-Carlton. We're doing over 350 homes, over 500 condos, waterfront, and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of that in the last 6 weeks has been attributed to the people that we've met at this event. So thank you to Anthony and your team. I would encourage everybody here to definitely network and meet in the room. We have about 5 minutes left, and I wanted to open the floor to questions to these guys. So does anyone have questions, comments, concerns for these gentlemen here?
The concern box is full, though.
Yeah, no concerns. Yeah, give those concerns to Anthony. But any questions about sports investing? Yes, go ahead. Yep. Hold on, we're going to bring you a mic. Do a little live. We got our runner here. Slow walking runner.
I ran this morning.
Dodging traffic.
He was at the 6:30
I ran this
jog
morning. I was waiting for you.
You made it on time.
I was on a flight. I landed at 5 a.m. red eye, so I'm sorry. I'm on 90 minutes of sleep, so I apologize. Yes, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, I'm Eve, aka the Money Mermaid. So this question is for Mr. Lloyd. You said that your sister is an Olympian, right? And so you're trying to develop more Olympic athletes in just this region or globally?
It's a great question. So we do a lot of work in Africa, actually, Rwanda, and we're looking to build actually the Forge. So this is one of her projects. It's to develop holistically athletes to not everyone's going to be an Olympian, right? But develop people. And so we're working on that project. It's called the Forge, and she's going to be developing human beings holistically so that you have the mindset, right? Because it's really a mindset, right? And so Kobe was one of her mentors, and we truly believe in the Mamba mentality. So,
Do you see my hat? Interesting. We just came from an event, a national event, leadership event we run called The Forge. Just flew in from yesterday. Keith and Jason were with us. Anyway, any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
15 more minutes, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm Mo. So,
Can you stand up?
do you see in the future, given that like tier 1 sports teams are very limited, that just like how we are getting real estate developments with like Aston Martin building and so on and so forth, do you think that in the future we might have buildings like a Michael Jordan building or like some other superstar that attract capital into like real estate developments?
Chris?
We're literally doing that right now. That's what we're doing with like Cristiano Ronaldo, Beckham, Jordan. Like literally, people talking about. We're doing that right now.
Okay. And that does exist, right? There's like Jordan has his own golf course now, and athletes are building their own athlete infrastructure, different gyms, fitness facilities, wellness facilities, all that. Yeah, Mike.
And Kyle, as Kyle mentioned too, Jamaica, there's a really unique opportunity to grow the game, as I mentioned, but a real estate opportunity and development opportunity too, with a couple of the natives and a couple of the citizens there that are here in actually South Florida, but are citizens of Jamaica. And so we talk about growth, development, real estate. There's plenty of opportunities right now. You just have 2 right here.
Yeah, and even like we're doing the golf course with Ernie Els. So it's an Ernie Els Championship golf course. So there's going to be Els residents, which are the higher end housing that are associated with the golf course. So absolutely.
And then what that does for you guys is it brings all of NL's fan base to come play a great golf course. It just elevates the whole project. I mean, we've done 20 golf courses now, and every single one sold out.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I have a multi-division world champion boxer who statistically can beat the #1 rated boxer, Clarissa Shields. Do any of you deal with boxing? Because this is a very big thing.
Boxing?
Boxing.
Anyone want to box?
I don't do boxing, but I know the right people for you to talk to. So I'll be happy to share contacts and
What's
help
the
you
goal?
out.
What are they looking for?
Well, the goal is to get this champion in the ring with the #1 champion so that my champion can beat the #1.
There you go. I like it.
I'll pass you our contacts. We can connect you the right people for that.
And
Wonderful.
one of my good friends is Kelly Pavlik. He's middleweight champion of the world. So we connect after, and I could help you out with that as well.
Yes. I have, sorry.
Last question, make it
yes,
the best question.
I heard some of you investing in Africa, and I want to understand really the long strategy for Africa, knowing that it's the only continent with a population growth that's going to double within the 20 years. So the continent will, from 1.3 billion, will turn into 2.6 billion people in 20 years. And the average age is 18. And the capacity for expansion, for explosion in every single field of human activity is really there. So I would like to know if any of you are thinking and promoting a long game strategy, because I know that there is a lack of infrastructure indeed, and also maybe a lack of vision, because they have been left out of the overall global market, except for extractions of talent that now are of course representing in the world, but not in Africa itself. So do you have any long-term strategy that are you looking into that continent that is the continent where most is going to be happening in the 25 years to come?
That's it.
Yeah, so we've been working on a deal with NBA Africa right now. So NBA is currently expanding into NBA Europe and NBA Africa. There's, I believe, 5 franchises that are going to be awarded on the continent, and we are in the hunt for 2 of them. Very excited. It's in one of the tech hubs of the country, of the continent, and I personally think it is one of the best opportunities for. I keep saying hyper growth, like these expansion leagues with the NBA specifically. They're piggybacking off the brand, but if you can imagine, what they're going to be doing is friendly. So they're going to be bringing a lot of the NBA teams to Africa, to Europe, and doing a month-long stay where they're playing all the teams and really building that brand as well. It's exactly the same strategy they did with the WNBA. And as we've seen the valuations of the WNBA teams now, those are very, very large. And I think, especially from the talent perspective, there is so much talent across the board in all the countries that are going to get awarded a team. So we're very, very excited, and I hope we get one. I am negotiating right now, so fingers crossed for me on that one. But I think we'll get one of the 2, not both of them, though.
Joe, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, last thing I'll say is we believe in Africa 100%. We started in Rwanda 8 years ago, and then we saw NBA Africa go right to Rwanda. So Rwanda is building, I'll just talk specifically about Rwanda, but Rwanda is one of the most technology advanced countries behind Kenya, and it's going to get there. So we definitely believe in Africa and the feedback.
And last thing, because we got to close out, if anyone is interested in World Cup tickets anywhere around the country at any of the matches, I'm working directly with FIFA, and I have direct allocation to suites, to group tickets, to VIP experiences at all the matches. So find me as well, Chris. We've already got that. So if you guys want to go to a World Cup match, come find me. I'll be here all the rest of the day. So with that, let's give our panelists a great round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Kyle.